Uh-oh.
Yes, boy!
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. It is Friday morning, and you know what that... I don't think anybody knows what that means. We've never done this before. But it is Friday morning, and we are here at the Mark It Down podcast, which means we're covering TNA. And when we cover TNA, we become the Gym Packed Zone. Last night's episode of Impact from TNA was kind of gigantic. We had a huge episode. We had a lot of, no pun intended, impact delivered from the show. We had 2 world championships on the line. We had a farewell match and a lot of ramifications from every segment, basically. They laid a lot of groundwork for not only upcoming events, but for just, I'd say, like the future of TNA. It was it was a big episode, and it started right out the gate with Joe Hendry, the TNA World Champion, the man whose name we will all say, versus the man who has no name or no last name, Jake something. You guys know me. This was a matchup that I was looking forward to greatly. I love Jake something. I think the guy's got so much upside, so much potential, and I've been on the Joe Hendry train for a very long time. So this is a matchup of 2 guys that I'm very invested in. And to start the show with that much energy, it got me going. It got me ready. I enjoyed the presentation that we got, which was 2 powerhouses, because Hendry is deceptively strong. We know how strong Jake something is, and it's an explosive strength. But it's easy to forget how strong Hendry is. And the 2 of them went power for power, and it was a really fun matchup. The only interesting thing to me was, given the heel nature of Something's character, I expected him to at times overpower Hendry and to feel like that dominant threat coming in to possibly take the title from Hendry, and that never felt like it was happening. That never felt like it was the case. It felt like Hendry was never in any real danger. The finish of the match coming with Hendry hitting a big standing ovation, one-handed standing ovation onto Jake something, getting the 1-2-3, and successfully retaining the title. Now, again, this is Hendry's reign. We've been waiting a long, long time for it. I don't want to worry about him losing the title anytime soon. But I want to believe that if he's going to continue to have these world championship matches, this is his second defense since winning the title at Genesis, the first being against Matt Cardona. I want to believe there's some risk, even if I'm fooling myself into it. And that was never really the case here. So I don't know what the future holds for Jake. It felt like he got derailed from the X Division title, despite being the big guy in the division. That went to Moose, who is the current X Division champion. It looked like he was going for the tag titles with Hammerstone. That's not happening now because Hammerstone's been injured, but apparently he is coming back soon. But now rumors are that Jake is leaving for some recovery time, for some injury time. So we'll see what the future holds for Jake, but hopefully we get a nice reset moving forward. Post-match, things were just as big, if not bigger, quite frankly, as we had Nick Nemeth's younger brother, Ryan Nemeth, come out and explain how his big brother, Nick Nemeth, would be upset with this matchup and the aftermath. Ryan calls Hendry a fraud. He's sick of him. They're getting in each other's face when Santino Marella, the director of Authority, comes out to try and smooth things over. At that point, Jake Something grabs Ryan Nemeth by the throat, and Nick goes for a super kick onto Jake. As he goes for a second super kick, he actually wallops Santino. Santino goes down. Everybody's checking on him except for Jake, who leaves. And Ryan and Nick, to a lesser degree, are blaming Hendry for this, which is hilarious. I expect it from Ryan. I don't know how Nick could reasonably blame him. But after commercial, we come back, and Nick and Ryan are backstage with Santino. And Nick apologizes, saying he's known Santino for a very long time, since Ohio Valley. That was a nice little name drop for TNA. Santino says that, yeah, they do have a lot of history, and he does have a lot of respect for Nick and his family. So that's why this makes it so tough. But he has to suspend Nick without pay for 4 weeks. And he says it's not about him, it's about the badge, which is just hilarious. So Ryan isn't happy, but he makes sure that he's still getting paid for the next 4 weeks. And Nick is just a little defeated. So we will not have Nick Nemeth on TV, I suppose, for the next 4 weeks. I wonder if he had other engagements. I wonder if this is contract stuff where he only has a certain amount of dates. But realistically, I guess we're going to see Ryan Nemeth pulling a lot of the weight for this team in the next time. Moving forward, we had our second matchup of the night, first knockouts match, as Elegance, Heather and Ash by Elegance, of course escorted by the concierge, their personal concierge, the Iceman, took on the King Bees. Now, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the King Bees. I'm not really familiar with their game. I was expecting this to be a little bit of a squash match. It wasn't. They got a good amount of offense in. This was always Heather and Ash's match to win, and they did win it with some, not really cheating, but, some heel chicanery, some shenanigans. But they won the matchup, and post-match, they decide to humiliate the King Bees. They take lipstick, and after mounting them, they just start drawing on their faces with lipstick. I think Heather drew an L on one of the women's head, and Ash just went to town, just absolutely scribbling all over her opponent's face. And this brought out the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Spitfire. They made the save, they ran out the Elegances, and we're just building towards that rematch, I suppose. And I'm cool with it, because I told you, I think the Knockouts Tag Division needs some fresh blood. I think they need some fresh champions to sort of reset the division a little bit. And I think the Elegances are the way to go. So, I you know me, I'm a big Danny Luna fan, but maybe this will set Danny up to go into the singles division, another division that desperately needs some fresh blood interacting in it. After this match, we go backstage, where we get a brief recap of last week's match, where the Hardys teamed up with Leon Slater against the System. And we saw that, of course, we had Leon hitting his 450 Swanton, which is an homage to Jeff Hardy's original Swanton bomb. And as the Hardys encounter Slater backstage, they heap him with praise. Leon says to the brothers that it's an honor to be in the ring with them, because he started wrestling. He started training wrestling because of them at 9 years old, which, guys, that is insane. Those disclaimers, don't try this at home. I think it's meant for 9-year-olds, so I don't know if he was paying attention. But Matt and Jeff were surprised, saying that he had them beat, because Jeff started at 12 and Matt started at 15. So it explains a lot about the Hardys too. Jeff says watching Leon hit that 450 Swanton live was just surreal, that they're both human anomalies. And Leon thanks them, because he says they're the reasons he knows about TNA. So to be in a TNA ring, in a TNA building, the same company as them, is a huge honor. nice little rub for Leon Slater, who they are very clearly investing a good amount of time in and a good amount of energy into. So that's, I was telling you, I think they have a lot of plans for this kid, and I wouldn't mind him being the guy to take the X Division title off of Moose. But moving elsewhere backstage, but earlier in the day, we get a recap of Mustafa Ali's antics, as Mustafa indicated that his campaign, we've known, is just continuing. He's got, it's just changing shape, changing form, and changing direction. But he's not alone now. He is now flanked by the Good Hands, who are now the Great Hands, and Tasha Steelz, his new press secretary. They have a press conference for a very small crowd in the TNA audience. There's just people who are happening to be there. And Ali kind of just goes on a rant. He wants and announces that he is the rightful number one contender for the TNA World Championship. He says that all those in favor should say aye. Nobody eyed. At this point, Tommy Dreamer walks up to Ali, and Ali says that he himself is the person who should be leading TNA into the next generation. But I guess Tommy thinks that it should be him, the moral center of TNA. Mr. Two Buns is the moral center of TNA, guys. Okay. Ali says, if not him, who? And Tommy just points out to the crowd, and there is Mike Santana, who looks a little confused, a little caught off guard, but at the same time, ready for whatever. Ali is a little flustered, a little flabbergasted, and at that point, his press secretary, Tasha Steelz, calls off the town hall meeting. I like this because it's just laying the groundwork for Ali to eventually get a world title match, no matter who it's against, whether it's Hendry, eventual champion Mike Santana. No matter what, we're going to get something out of it. So it's smart storytelling. And I really do like that Tasha and the Great Hands have something to do that's going to guarantee them TV time. Tasha is so good, and she has been in the Knockouts division for such a long time, especially comparatively to a lot of the other women, that she sometimes just falls off the map. She falls off the radar. So I'm glad this is guaranteeing her some TV time. And the Great Hands have always sort of struggled to find those characters. So this is a good way of putting them in something that's going to help develop personas. So really cool stuff from this. A lot done. We then move on to what was supposed to be just a matchup between Frankie Kazarian and Sami Callihan. Frankie, the self-proclaimed king of TNA, taking on a man with a grudge, Sami Callihan, who is still feuding with Mance Warner and Steph DeLander. What up, Dev? Thank you for being with us this Friday morning. It's still morning. It's not afternoon yet. So thank you for being here. Hope you're having a good Valentine's Day. Sami Callihan, who is feuding with Mance Warner and Steph DeLander, the collective digital media champion. Now, apparently TNA is not recognizing them as the TNA digital media champion, whether it is just Steph or just Mance or collectively, they're just not recognizing them. So that's a situation that needs to be resolved sooner than later, I'd imagine. I got to tell you, I have no interest in Sami Callihan being the digital media champion. So we'll see how that goes. But Mance and Steph are the first ones to make their way out. But as Sammy's music is playing and we're expecting him, Frankie Kazarian. God, I'm tired, guys. Frankie Kazarian made his way out first. As Sammy is expected to come out, we see him crawling out of the entranceway, looking really beat up, as he was beat up by Mance Warner and Steph DeLander. He is just absolutely mauled, absolutely attacked by Mance Warner. Security has to separate them. Security has to pull Mance off of Sammy. Eventually, Frankie just wants his hand raised, saying he can't wrestle. Give me the match. I want to win it. As they're getting ready to do that, Sammy demands that the match happen regardless. The referees are begging him to not do it because he isn't fit to compete, but he demands the matchup, and we go. Right out the gate, Sammy surprises Frankie with a quick stunner, but he's only able to get the 2 count. After just a little bit of a tussle, Frankie is able to lock in a chicken wing and make Sammy tap out. Good for Frankie. You know, like, this is definitely, he's playing into the heel that he is, and it works. Sammy, it feels silly to have seen him tap. I'm not a huge fan of just the pass out in submissions. This made sense for the pass out, but to demand to wrestle and then immediately tap, it's like, I guess you're telling the story that he wasn't ready, but still, I would have just had him pass out for this one. After the match, Mance is just staring down Callahan, who gets on the mic and says they should keep fighting. Mance gets in the ring, and security once again has to pull them apart. We'll see how long that goes for. We then go backstage with the hardest working woman in TNA, Mean Gia Miller, who is with Josh Alexander. Josh says that he's sad that it's over, but he's happy that it happened. I guess talking about his time in TNA. And he's pissed off that his last match is against someone he's looked up to his entire career. He says he's going to go out there with everything he's got and show that TNA is the best wrestling company in the world. Mighty big claim. Not necessarily disagreeing. We then go elsewhere backstage, as Leon Slater is just so popular, and he is confronted by sometimes NXT star JDC. I'm just kidding. Dango is TNA forever, but he did wrestle earlier in the week against Lexis King for the Heritage Cup. He wasn't able to get that win, but good to see Dango back on WWE TV. JDC and Leon just go back and forth a little bit, as JDC doesn't think Leon did that well in their matchup last week in that multi-man match against the System, and says that he's seen it 1,000 times. Leon is just making a career off potential. There's nothing else there for him. He says he's trying, and the Hardys are just taking advantage, trying to get another run out of him. Slater, he keeps calling him kid, which really pisses off Slater. Eventually, they just go at it. They're starting to brawl before they're separated by backstage personnel. And Slater says that he wants JDC in a match with no rules. So maybe that'll be next week. I'm not entirely sure. Or maybe it'll be at the upcoming pay-per-view. But good for Leon having his own big-time matchup. We then go back to the ring with another knockouts match, as Zaya Brookside takes on NXT star Cora Jade. Cora just running through. Dev saying he likes watching NXT again. That's awesome, dude. And whether it's because of just how hot things have been, or maybe even the TNA connection, yeah, it's good that NXT is thriving right now, and it certainly is thriving. Cora Jade and Zaya Brookside having a decent matchup, in my opinion. It wasn't anything super special. I could see how they're definitely using TNA to help Cora get some reps in. This wasn't the smoothest matchup, and that's not a knock on either woman. Maybe they're not used to each other's styles, maybe they're not used to each other's pace. But there were a couple of missteps, in my opinion. Nothing egregious, but enough that you could sort of see the wheels in motion. Eventually, the finish going with Zaya going for a Brooksy bomb, but Cora is able to get out of the way and hits a big CM Punk knee to the face against the ropes to Zaya, and then hits the Jaded. And goes for the Jaded, but Zaya is able to hit an Enziguri. Cora then hits that knee strike again against the ropes, followed officially by the Jaded, getting the 1, 2, 3. We're seeing it. Cora Jade is going through the knockouts division a little bit here. I think this is her second or third. No, this is her second win in TNA, and she's just building her way towards that Knockouts title. She's got company though. She's not alone. She's not the only one who thinks she's too good for the TNA roster. As we go backstage once again with Tessa Blanchard. Tessa, who is being sought out, I guess, by Ariana Grace, the liaison between NXT and TNA. She knocks on Tessa's locker room door, and Tessa says this isn't NXT and tells her to go away. She's outright rude, outright aggressive against Ariana until Santino Marella, the director of Authority, who's not in the best mood after everything that happened tonight, confronts her and tells her to take it easy. Santino says she's been pulling out of matches left and right like she's Harry Houdini, and he says he sees right through her. He says she's going to have a match next week where there will be consequences. Tessa then closes her door, and Ariana looks very uncomfortable. But that's what happens when you mess with Daddy's princess. So good on Santino for being a stand-up father, unlike that deadbeat Rey Mysterio. We then go to the ring after a commercial break for an in-ring promo from the Rascals. The Rascals come out and call out Wes Lee and talks about them attacking them every week. Trey Miguel says that Ace Austin has their back, and while he's not necessarily someone they would have teamed up with in the past, here they are, and they know that they've got to fight. Wes comes out and says that the fans don't deserve to see him and his group, that they don't deserve this matchup, but they are more than happy to oblige. As they go to attack the two, Ace makes his entrance and attacks Tyson and Tyreek while the Rascals take down Wes in the ring. Eventually, the bigger trio of Tyson, Tyreek, and Wes are able to overpower the Rascals, and Wes Lee hits a cardiac kick onto Ace Austin. So we're going to get this 6-man tag. We're going to get this trios match, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I am personally very excited to see Ace teaming up with the Rascals. I think that's an energy, and it's a dynamic that's just a lot of fun. We then go backstage for a first-class promo. Not a first-class promo, but a promo from First Class, although it was pretty good, where they say that they know things have been rough for them a little bit lately, but they've got a major announcement next week, and everybody should be excited for it. We'll see. Maybe it's the return of Rich Swann. Maybe they're going to go for the TNA tag titles. Who knows what it'll be, but I'm excited. I'm interested. We then go to our final title match of the night, our second big world title match, as Masha Slamovich defends against Savannah Evans. Savannah, who had won a battle royal for the title, and has had a lot of fan support over the years. She's definitely someone that's had a lot of potential and has always sort of hit that stop and go. And I think a lot of fans are happy that she finally got her first ever Knockouts title match. This was again another high intensity match, similar to the world title match, the men's world title match from earlier in the night, where it's two power styles going head to head. But Savannah being so much bigger than Masha had to sort of change up her style and go for heavy strikes as opposed to just dropping her. The finish of the match coming after Masha couldn't go for a snowplow, with Savannah fighting out of it, but Masha being able to hit the Requiem instead, getting the 1-2-3. I think Savannah definitely hung with Masha. I think they definitely were able to put on a good match. And I hope this leads to more opportunities for Savannah down the pipe. So very good showing from these two women, and a great Knockouts title match. We know that it's easy for Masha to sort of get lost in the wave of everything, with Jordan Grace's departure from TNA taking so much time from TNA, Tessa Blanchard's debut, and now with the NXT women coming in and out. I'm glad that she's getting these big title matches. Moving on to our main events, the farewell, the swan song of Josh Alexander. Josh and Eric put on a good matchup. It was, I think there was a part of me that was hoping for a little bit more, maybe a little more fanfare, maybe a little more, something more special. But this was just kind of a standard babyface versus heel match. And The finish coming after Josh valiantly fighting off Eric Young, but succumbing to the numbers game of the Northern Armory, as Travis Williams and Judas Icarus both got involved, distracting the referee, handing Eric one of their masks, one of their Casey Jones Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle masks. And while the ref is distracted, Eric takes that mask, swings on Josh, connects, and then hits his pile driver to get the 1-2-3. They emphasized throughout the night that this is Josh's last match in TNA. This is it. He's done. Considering how the departure is going and there wasn't any fanfare for it, there's a part of me that wonders if he's going to have like a street fight at the next pay-per-view or even next week or something, where that's kind of his actual goodbye to TNA. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I don't know. The fact that they emphasized last match but not last appearance in TNA, I don't know. I think there might be a little bit more there. And who knows? There is a very real reality that he could potentially stay with TNA. It was announced this morning that Josh signed with an agent who is known for getting people into AEW. So Josh's future is very much up in the air. I think there's a lot of potential for the walking weapon. You guys know how much respect we have for him here at the pod. We're a big fan of his here. And we wish him nothing but the best. So whether this was the goodbye to TNA that it was touted as, or maybe there's still a little more in that tank, we'll find out. But very cool to see these two Canadians, these two heart like lifebloods of TNA go at it in what is potentially Josh's last match. It definitely puts over the Northern Armory as an annoying threat for baby faces to confront, and I'm sure Steve Macklin will have something to say moving forward. But guys, thank you for joining me this morning here at the Mark It Down podcast. We're trying some new things out. Obviously, we're seeing if this new scheduling might be the key to shaking things up. We'll see. Maybe next week we'll be back on Thursday, or maybe we'll be back Friday morning. Time will tell. I'm not a morning person, but I'm doing my best for you guys. But thank you so much for joining us. You know the deal. If you're new here and you're just checking us out for the first time, thank you. We ask maybe you try hitting that like button. Maybe you think about subscribing, because we have a lot of fun. We cover everything. WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, all the wrestling, we cover it. If you're a regular like Dev, who showed up before, thank you. Hey, 12 o'clock becomes afternoon, Dev. 12 o'clock. But if you're a regular like Dev, thank you for checking us out, for sticking with us. Thank you for having fun with us. And if you guys want more of us, you know the deal. We're all over social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Blue Sky. We're everywhere. So go check us out. We got links at the bottom. We're, you know where to check us out. Mark It Down Pod. Sometimes there's an underscore. Sometimes there's a number. But thank you so much for joining us. I'm James Gisanti. This is the Mark It Down podcast. And when we cover TNA, no matter the day, this is the Gym Pack Zone. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great Valentine's Day. And have a great weekend. Talk to you later, guys.